The floor of Hangar 7 gleamed like glass, the faint scent of oil and detergent still lingering from the janitor's mop. The morning sun poured through the wide bay doors, slicing across rows of jets and the sharp uniforms of sailors preparing for inspection. The air was thick with authority, pride, and whispers of the woman. Everyone had been waiting for General Miranda Kane, the first female force, star general in the Navy's history, was visiting the base today. But right now no one cared about that. They cared about the janitor, a quiet, middle-aged man with gray dust in his hair, a limp in his walk, and a mop in his hand. His name tag said E. Cross. Nobody knew what the E stood for, and no one asked. "Hey, Chief Mop Commander," a young Navy SEAL barked from across the hangar, tossing a crumpled wrapper toward the man's bucket. "You missed a spot." The janitor looked up, his calm brown eyes meeting the SEAL's mocking grin. He didn't say a word. He simply bent, picked up the wrapper, and placed it in the trash. Another SEAL, bulkier, joined in. "Careful, Turner, that's the legendary custodial corps. I heard they clean up the mess we make when we're done saving the world." Laughter rippled through the group. Even a few officers passing by smirked before turning away. The janitor straightened his back, gave a polite nod, and continued mopping. He had long ago learned that silence was the sharpest answer. "Aw, come on, old man," Turner pressed. "You ever serve, or just clean up after those who did?" For the first time the janitor paused, his eyes lifted, calm as still water. "I served," he said quietly. Turner laughed. "Yeah? In what janitorial command?" A faint smile tugged at the corner of the janitor's lips. "Something like that." Before Turner could reply, a voice rang out. "Attention, General Kane approaching." Every man in the hangar snapped to attention. Boots clapped, mops stopped, and silence swept the air like a wind. General Miranda Kane walked in tall, graceful, and unshakably poised. Her uniform was pristine, her medals like small stars across her chest. Every step echoed command and confidence. Behind her trailed two admirals and a nervous-looking lieutenant clutching a clipboard. Kane stopped in the center of the hangar, her sharp eyes sweeping the space, at ease. The sailors relaxed slightly, but the SEALs still stood stiff, adrenaline humming. Kane was known to break a man's arrogance with a single question. She turned, her eyes landing briefly on the janitor still holding his mop. "Maintenance at work even during inspections," she said. "That's discipline." The janitor bowed his head. "Just doing my part, ma'am." "Good." She turned back to the assembled SEALs. "Now, Commander Harris, these are your top recruits." "Yes, ma'am," Harris replied. "Elite, disciplined, and calm. Batch ready." "Excellent." Kane's tone was cool. "Discipline is the foundation of every unit. Without respect for every man and woman in uniform, or out of it, discipline cracks." The SEALs nodded, unaware of what was coming. Then Kane's gaze flicked again to the janitor. "What's your name, Chief?" The janitor hesitated. Then softly, "Illy Cross, ma'am." Kane froze. A strange, almost imperceptible flicker crossed her face. Something between recognition and disbelief. The admirals beside her noticed it too, but said nothing. "Illy Cross," she repeated. "That name sounds familiar." Turner, sensing an opportunity to impress, stepped forward. "He's our resident floor polisher, ma'am. Keeps the hangar spotless." A faint chill touched the air. Kane's eyes shifted to Turner, cold as steel. "Is that so?" "Yes, ma'am," Turner said proudly. "We like to keep him motivated. You know, some humor helps the morale." Kane took one slow step toward him. "Humor," Turner swallowed. "Yes, ma'am, we were just joking around." Kane's gaze hardened. "I see." Then she turned back to Cross. "Permission to ask, Mr. Cross, when did you serve?" Cross hesitated. The entire hangar waited. The sound of a wrench dropping somewhere in the distance echoed like a gunshot. 2002 to 2018, he said finally. Kane nodded slowly. "That's 16 years. "Yes, ma'am." "And your rank when you retired?" Cross exhaled softly, then said, "Lieutenant Commander." A ripple went through the crowd. The SEALs shifted uncomfortably. Turner's smirk vanished. Kane's expression didn't change. "Lieutenant Commander Cross," she repeated, her tone heavy with meaning. "You led the Echo Recon unit, didn't you?" Cross's eyes flickered with memory. "Yes, ma'am. Operation Iron Vulture." Kane said quietly. Afghanistan, deep territory extraction. I remember the report. Every head turned toward her. You mean? One of the SEALs whispered. Kane ignored him. Her eyes stayed locked on Cross. Your unit pulled out 5 trapped soldiers under heavy fire. You were wounded twice and refused evacuation until every man was safe. Cross didn't speak. Kane's voice lowered. I remember the call sign. Ghost Eagle, wasn't it? The hangar went silent. Turner looked like the air had been punched from his chest. The admirals exchanged glances. Everyone knew that call sign. It belonged to a legend, a ghost story told to rookies about a man who vanished after saving an entire platoon. Yes, ma'am, Cross said softly. That was me. Kane took a slow breath, her eyes softening for the first time. The Navy owes you more than a mop, Lieutenant Commander. He smiled faintly. I'm just happy to be useful, ma'am. My daughter goes to school nearby. This job keeps me close. The SEALs stood frozen, shame creeping across their faces. Turner looked down, his throat tight. Kane's tone sharpened again. And you mocked him, she said, turning on Turner. You, a SEAL, mocking a man who carried men like you through fire. Turner's voice cracked. Ma'am, I didn't know. Then learn, she snapped. Learn to see beyond the uniform. The measure of a warrior isn't in his title. It's in what he's done when no one was watching. Turner's jaw clenched. He saluted, but his eyes were glassy. Yes, ma'am. Kane turned back to Cross. Lieutenant Commander, on behalf of the Navy, I apologize for what you've endured here. Cross shook his head. No apology needed, ma'am. They're good men. They just haven't seen enough yet. Kane studied him for a moment, then smiled. Still leading, I see. Then, to the entire hangar, she said, Attention. Every sailor and SEAL snapped to position. Kane gestured to Cross. This man is Lieutenant Commander Elijah Cross. Call sign, Ghost Eagle. Every mission you've ever trained for has his fingerprints on it. Some of the tactics you use were built from his field reports. He's not just a janitor. He's a living blueprint of courage. Silence filled the air. Even the admiral stood straighter. From this day forward, Kane continued, you will treat every man who serves this base, whether in uniform, coveralls, or civilian clothes, with the same respect you'd show me. Understood? Yes, ma'am. The hangar thundered. Kane nodded once, then turned to Cross again. I'll see to it that your service record is restored with full honors, and if you ever wish to return, the Navy would be lucky to have you back. Cross smiled gently. Thank you, ma'am, but I think I'm right where I belong. Kane extended her hand. Then we'll make sure the world remembers who you are, both as Ghost Eagle and as Illy Cross. He shook her hand, firm and steady. It was never about being remembered, ma'am, just about keeping the floor and the world a little cleaner. Kane's eyes gleamed with quiet respect, spoken like a true soldier. As she left the hangar, the SEALs remained silent, their pride dissolved into something deeper humility. Turner walked over slowly to where Cross was wringing out his mop. Sir, he began. The word caught awkwardly in his throat. I mean, Commander Cross, I'm sorry for earlier. Cross glanced up, his eyes kind. Don't be, just remember, every man starts somewhere. Just make sure you finish better. Turner nodded. Yes, sir. He straightened and saluted. For a moment, the hangar, once filled with laughter and arrogance, felt sacred. As Turner walked back to his team, Cross dipped the mop into the bucket again. The sunlight caught the water, and for an instant it shimmered like firelight, like a memory of battle long past. He smiled faintly, humming under his breath as the sound of jets roared outside. The legend of Ghost Eagle had not ended on a battlefield. It had simply found peace in the quiet duty of a janitor, teaching respect in silence, one clean floor at a time.